Hello, welcome to This Day with BJ Arnett, and of course I am BJ Arnett. Well, today it is all about beauty. Now, there's a certain kind of beauty that we're talking about. It's the beauty from the inside to the outside. And my guest today is Kayla Coward. Am I correct? Did I say your name correct?
You did.
Yay, I did good. I did good. Thank you so much for joining us. It is a joy to have you here. It's funny that all the things that I do seem to collide right here with This Day with BJ Arnett. I know very much about pageants, and I understand the mechanisms behind pageants and how they work and why they do what they do. But your pageant, that you are the queen, the reigning queen of, let me get it all right,
Okay.
National Black College Alliance. Alumni.
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. Yeah, it was the Hall of Fame part that threw me off. So tell me, how is that different from any other pageant?
Well, our aim is not to solely focus on the beauty of the contestant, but more so of her qualities and how she can continue to uplift the historically Black colleges and universities, not only that she attends, but all of them throughout the nation.
When you think of yourself as one who is a spokeswoman for this issue or this platform, and you take a look at the historically Black colleges across the nation, what is the one focal point that you are going after to get people to understand in this time?
That's a tough question.
It's a lot, isn't it?
It is a lot. Well, my personal platform and passion is called Fearless Achievers. And there are 3 pillars. 1, to embrace your experiences from life. 2, to utilize the gifts God has given you. And 3, to look forward to seeing that all of your aspirations are attainable. Now, that becomes married to the vision of the Hall of Fame when your focus is to uplift and strengthen the relevance of HBCUs. So to pick one, I would have to say that we're strengthening the students and their personal capacity to know that they are a leader, and to be a leader is to master those things that you're good at, and then to look back and help someone that's coming forward.
And I recognize that it is, as well as going forward personally, but it is to pull someone else forward as well. But as you go about from place to place across the nation, what are you seeing that college students are needing in HBCUs?
I think that the college students at HBCUs need to recognize the resources that they have around them. There is this misunderstanding that HBCUs are lacking financially, and we're lacking in our resources, and we're lacking in the education that we're providing. Not to say that that may not be happening in some small factor, but it's not a means of defeat. And I think a lot of students see it that way.
You know, I had an interesting call recently, and I think it's, you know, God has a way about aligning things that always interests me. I got a call not 3 days ago. A young woman said to me, who already has her associate's degree in merchandising, and she said to me, do you think it is a help or a hindrance for me to go to a historically Black college? And I thought, now, how could it be a hindrance? And I had never thought of it as a hindrance. It was not even in my way of thinking. And I had to explain to her 2 things, one of which you mentioned. But the very first thing was, God himself has designed your life before you even were birthed onto this planet. So whether it is a HBCU or another college is really not the matter. It's what will you be when you get there? And how will you be an asset to the environment that you get to? Now, in my experience as a professor at a historically Black college, I see greatness on a constant basis, never not. And when there's an occasional hiccup, it is not the college that I look at, it's the individual.
Yes.
So as you look at and as you are interfacing with the student as well as the alumni, is the understanding that from the student side that it is not the college, it is our self-assessment, it is our understanding of who we are, where we are, and how we have to launch ourselves into the destiny that God gave us? Is that something that is introduced to them in a way of thinking?
I think that we're getting there. I'm not sure that that is presented in a way where students first coming in as freshmen can totally understand that. their main focus, honestly, is I'm out of the house.
I am out of the house.
I'm out of the house. I can go to class when I want to.
Yes, indeed, or not.
Yes.
Or not.
Yeah.
So, and that's a real issue. It's important to recognize, and I have your book here, Royalty and Power. In order to be in your royalty and power, you have to take personal responsibility for who you are.
Yes.
And the fact that it's an historically black college and being able to navigate through the college days has to deal with the core of who the person is, not the college. Now, I don't put the college in the position of saying that every college is great. It is as great as the people inside of it.
Yes.
And that I truly believe. But you put a survival guide together here, which I thought was great, because when you get to college, you really do need a survival guide.
Yes.
You really don't know. And as we said a second ago, don't want to go to class. We want to go when we want to go. We want to do what we want to do. And there's a whole lot of life experiences that happen in the college environment.
Yes.
It's not just about schoolwork.
Right.
It is about all the other component parts that make that education really fruitful so that we are launched out into the destiny that God has us. Tell us about some of those survival skills in your book.
Survival skills. So chapter 1 is called Authentic Reflection, and that is staying true to who you are. I actually have in there the Queen's Golden Rule, to thine own self be true, from William Shakespeare. And so that's just staying authentic to who you are and not allowing the organization or persons that you represent to alter that and change that. A lot of times people misconstrue beauty pageants or scholarship pageants with the physical beauty. And yes, sometimes, you know, we're nice to look at, we're easy on the eyes, but there is more to us than our physical appearance. It's the authentic reflection that should bounce off of people and make people want to be real and humble and reach out and help. Better, all around better. Yeah. So I have authentic reflection, against the odds. That's just proving yourself right or maybe someone wrong in whatever your goals and aspirations are in achieving that. The third chapter is called Royalty Has a Standard. So whether you bear the weight of a crown or a sash across your chest, you still have a standard. As a people, as a woman, as a man, you have a standard to live up to. And those are your morals, your values that were either taught to you or that you cultivated throughout your experience in college or life. And then the last chapter is called Chasing Bubbles. And so that was from me being a dancer at the age of 3, chasing bubbles to learn how to get on releve. And so I coupled that with where we need to keep ourselves at an elevated standard so that we can reach all of our aspirations and goals, an elevated level of thinking.
In order to be able to achieve the things that we would want to achieve, an elevated thinking is necessary. Our education has to match. Our attitude has to be a strength. Our mindset has to be on what is God-given as our gifts and our talents. So as we go through this discovery phase, and like I remember this so well, thinking, oh, college is not what I thought it was going to be. I've got to do something. I've got to bring myself up to where I know that God has for me in the first place, which could never be down here. It always would have to be elevated. When you take a look at the statistics of education for before young people even get to college, and especially in these United States where grade school, middle school, and then high school is not really educating in the way that it should be done nationwide. How do you see students adjusting once they get into the college system to all of the things that they have to balance so that they actually do reach that elevated point?
Well, I've noticed that it is a shocker because, you know, I see that from elementary to middle to high school, it's sort of like a babysitting type of thing. And students are being taught to a test.
Yes.
They're not really being taught
to think.
To think, critical thinking,
Yes.
so that when they actually get into real life situations, they can think through it and figure out an answer or something successful. So what was your question? When they get to college, how is that changing?
How are they getting there? I mean, I think you really
that
did.
it's happening late. It is happening, but it's happening late, unfortunately. So sometimes it might take a crisis academic or life situation while they're in college for them to kind of like, oh my gosh,
I got to get this.
I got to get this. I got to get it quick, or I'm not going to graduate. I'm
Yeah.
not going to get a job.
Yes.
I'm not going to
That
be able to
reality
live.
check.
Right.
Yeah, it happens. As you wrote the book and then you're traveling and you go around to meet different students, what is their reaction to you and what your platform is?
You wrote a book? Oh my God, like how long did it take you to do this? And I'm saying, it took me a while. I started in April and I was supposed to be done by a specific pageant to crown the next queen. Wasn't done. I was supposed to be done by graduation, wasn't done. Supposed to be done by a conference in July, wasn't done. And so I said, Kayla Cowherd, if you do not finish this book.
Oh, you had a self-talk.
Yes, I had a self-talk in the mirror.
Yeah,
And I
that's
said,
the way you do it.
if you don't finish this book by September, then you're going to miss who you were supposed to help.
Yeah.
And in that window of opportunity that you were supposed to help them.
Yes.
So ultimately, that's what pushed me to finish it. What pushed me to write it is, this was my third pageant ever in life. And so a lot of things I walked into it blind. And I honestly was just myself. Like at the interview, I was myself. I shared what I thought was important and what could help people. I didn't have any type of coaching. And so for other people who are like me going into their reign, this book is to help them. And it's not so much of, this is how you sit, this is how you sip tea, you should curl your hair this way. It's more of the inner queen, the queen behind the crown, that this book focuses on.
This is how you think.
Yes.
This is how you believe. And this
Yes.
is how you stand.
Yes.
That's very good. When you take a look at the alumni side, how have you been able to pull on alumni to say, okay, tell me this, give me this information, help me go this way? Have you been able to do that?
Somewhat. I think that the alumni are trying to reach the youth in a way that might not be as effective as they think. I know that we're moving to a more electronic way of communicating, but I think that there's still some value in that face-to-face and the writing
Yes.
letters and the answering the phone
Yes.
versus message me on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've been messaging.
That doesn't build relationship.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
So I think they're trying. In my experience, I have had to use Facebook, and sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. I call the university often, and they call me back, and we talk. But I released this yesterday, and so I gotten a lot of phone calls. I still need to check the messages, but I don't know if they knew that I was actually going to finish it, because it was a lot to do. You know, I was a student first, and I was a Miss Virginia Union University, and then Miss National Black College, and then I was cheering, and I was working. And so when I told a few individuals, like, yeah, I'm working on a book, but don't tell anybody yet. And they're like, oh, really? You're working on a book? So, you know, it's like, wow, I have to dispel the fears in my own mind and the fears that you have.
Right.
So
that people can see royalty and power exist actually in you.
yes.
That's how it is.
Yes.
I thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Continue on your reign in a royal way.
Thank
You're a
you
blessed
so
daughter of
much.
God. I thank you for joining us today. I'm BJ. God bless you.